Oh dear. It's all black. What's gone on? Hang on. This was working just a minute ago. There we go. Oh, you're going down the DRF route, I see. That's cool. I like Django REST Framework, man. It's pretty decent. It's different the way it does stuff, but I thought it was pretty good. Let me know if you can hear me all right. By the way, I was messing with my setup earlier, so I was recording. Hey Zane, how's it going, mate? Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoy my content. That is the main thing. So I think audio is maybe a tad loud. Just turn it down a bit. Might be peaking. Yeah, I really like Django as well. I do really like Django, and to be honest, I think, and I've said this before, if I was actually going to build something that I had to build now, I probably would use it because it's got everything built in. Although I really do quite enjoy figuring out and building stuff myself. So yeah. Hey Moss, 2 hours ago. Selenium versus Playwright, I always just use Playwright. I think performance-wise, probably not a lot in it. And I know that a lot of the big companies who do actual website testing still use Selenium. Whichever one you're more comfortable with. I prefer Playwright because I prefer the API, I prefer writing it. And it's easier to install. That helps as well. SR, appreciate your work, mate. Thank you. It's unique and amazing. Well, I do my best, mate. I do my best. I hope you enjoy it. I can't hear myself. Start building some apps. Yeah, that's the best way. That's the best way. I find that either building some kind of app that does something, and you can even like build one that scrapes data in and displays it, or what I often say is if you can pull data from 2 different places and put it into your database and organize it and then display it in a way that might be a bit more meaningful, that's a good way to get on and get learning. How do you deal with websites with poor structure? So when I'm looking at working with the selectors, I tend to just start where the information is that I want, and then I just kind of go back up the tree until I find one that works or one that I can access easily, and then reference it down from there. So with CSS selectors, you can just say, find me this element and then find me the next A tag underneath it, and you can do that. Oh, that's cool. Football predictor. As in, yeah, European, right? I think we talked about football before. Did I try using the resources on GitHub Students Developer Pack? No, I don't actually know what that is. I'm not a student, so maybe I won't have access. What is it? Try to focus, there we go. You'd have thought that given that all I do is my camera just sits there the whole time, that I wouldn't really need autofocus, but it makes such a difference. The autofocus on mine's terrible. Franco, hello mate, thanks for dropping by. Appreciate you guys for dropping in. I was going to tweet about it. I suppose I could do that. I don't know if anyone follows my Twitter. There we go. It's not worth following me on Twitter, by the way. I don't really tweet anything. What are your thoughts about Cloudflare protection? Yeah, it's a pain. It's a pain in the ass. CF Scrape, I've heard of that one. Don't think I use it. The other one's Cloud Scraper. It depends because there's a few different levels of Cloudflare protection. The basic one is the basic one isn't too bad because it's essentially a JavaScript test. So they run a piece of JavaScript code on the browser, and depending on how it responds, they let you in. So obviously, if you make a direct request, you don't have that JavaScript. There are ways around it. With like Cloud Scraper, I think does still work. And then there's sort of you get into the realms of undetected Chrome driver can be as well. Like Playwright Stealth is basically that. It's difficult. You have to get creative. Could I make a video on top 10 projects to improve the skills? Oh, I could do, yeah. Hello, by the way, Movie Blast. I remember you from earlier in the week. Thanks for joining us again. So, in my book, this is my book of ideas. Some of them are good, some of them aren't. Is project ideas. I just want to make sure that I cite Scrapey Cloud. Oh, I see. Well, that's interesting. All right, I'm gonna have a look at that then. Yeah, in there I'm just trying to present it in an interesting way, I suppose. I think what I would like to do is to present 3 ideas, and instead of just saying, oh hey, yeah, you could do this and then you could do that, would be to actually start you off with it. So that's why I kind of want to do it. Trigger a script through an API and run turn the data through. Yeah, there's a few ways I think you can do that. You could. That's essentially what those scraper API programs, what are they called? Websites do, right? So, in its simplest form, you could basically just build yourself and put the browser within the endpoint. So the code that when you hit that endpoint that it calls will load up that browser. That's the simplest way to do it. That's not perfect though. Ideally, you need to be able to run multiple instances of it, and you want to schedule it because obviously it takes a little bit longer to do that. But you can do that. What would be great is because kind of Scrapey Splash is that basically, but they don't work on it anymore, and it does work still, but it's not as. There are things where it fails a bit. So, but there are ways. How do you structure your Python scripts? As in project structure. Honestly, I keep everything in the same file until I look at it and I go, I can't really understand what's going on now, and then I abstract out the bits that I want. So the first things that will go out somewhere else would be the database bits. But you think in 100 lines of code, you could have your database model, your scraping code, your parsing, and everything. So I don't abstract straight away. I only abstract when I get to a point where I look at it and I go, this is too much now, so let's move that out. And I would first of all, I'd move the database stuff outside, and then, because I tend to have 3 different, it's more complicated than just 3 functions, but I'll have something that will do the request, something that will do the parsing, and then something that will do the output. So we've covered the output would be the database, so I'd move that out to its own file, like a models.py file. And then the next thing I tend to do is, instead of just using the default requests session client, I create my own with the settings that I want, and then I would put that somewhere else, then import that in as well. HTTPX and selectors, yeah, I think they are fantastic. That's what I use. That's pretty much what I use, and that kind of follows on to is beautiful soup still relevant? Yes, it is. It totally is. There's nothing wrong with it. If you use it and it works for you, there's no issue with it. Personally, for me, I like to just find other things, and Selector Lax was really cool because it was quicker. Not that the speed of beautiful soup was a massive issue, but you know, I just thought it was great. So that's what I tend to use. Where to get the ideas on what to scrape so I complete most sites which like. Yeah, so that's a good question. So there's another one. I think it's on a specific website. I think it's like webscraper.io. They have some test sites too, which is good. I'm in the process of fleshing out my own test site. No worries, Smiley. Cool name, by the way. I'm in the process of like fleshing out my own test site that I want to sort of host and have access for like everyone that watches my content. Because two reasons. One, that I want to have something that is a constant that I control. So, you know, like if I do a video scraping a site and then something changes, people just comment on the video saying this doesn't work anymore. It's like, okay. And also because as much as it's not an issue, as the channel grows a bit, I want to have less and less like specific scrape this site style videos. I'd rather have ones discussing methods, how to deal with certain problems, what to do when you come across this, so people understand how to actually do it rather than just copy and paste my code and then abuse the site. So I'm going to build my own one. I don't know when it's coming though, because I'm not quite sure how A, I want to build it, and B, I'll need help with the JavaScript front end part, just so I get it right in a way. So if anyone knows JavaScript, I might be asking for help in the next few months, if anyone fancies it. Ibrahim, hey man, I appreciate that. I hope I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased that people enjoy my content and actually learn something from it. Can't find any full-time web scraping jobs in Pakistan or anywhere. It's really hard, to be honest. Honestly, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think that the money isn't so much in scraping, it's in what you can do with that data. So what you want to think about is what do you know? What information specifically are you knowledgeable in? So let's say like your hobby or something you know about. I don't know, here's a really bad example. Let's say you're an audio person, right? And you know about headphones and cables, and what you could do is you could build a service where you could say, I'm not sure this is a great idea, but you could say like, pull in all the product information for all these products from various places. You could say these are these prices here, and then you could combine that with like recommendations of get these headphones, get this DAC, put it with this cable, and make sure you use these sorts of files, and kind of go like that. So I think if you could do something like that, obviously that's building a business rather than just working with someone, I think you might have a better chance, because scraping in itself is not a lot of people pay to have. People do it, but there's a lot of people that could do it, so it's hard to get the jobs, especially on like Upwork and stuff. I don't do that stuff, that's horrible. It's not easy. Did you ever try Power Automate for scraping? No. Power Automate, I'm not sure what that is. Is that Microsoft? Have you encountered really long payloads that seem impossible to replicate? When you say payloads, do you mean like JSON payloads that you need to submit or something? We also how to do more scalable scraping in a cluster with working containers. We're looking at Kafka. Maybe it's enough. Do you know what? That would be pretty cool. It's not something that I'm overly familiar with in that respect, I'm afraid. But that would be interesting. Many websites don't have a robot text file. What would you suggest for them? I ignore it anyway. Always. I won't worry about it. Generally, on the legality of things, if that data is in the public domain, and I've been looking at this a bit more recently because I've been looking at learning more OSINT stuff, so open source intelligence, which is, you know, using freely available public domain data to build a profile on something. So my opinion is, if it's on their website and you don't log in or anything like that, it's just there, it's fine. The only problem you're going to find is you could potentially run into issues if you start abusing their servers, or I don't know. I don't think there's not been that many. Even the one with the LinkedIn one, ages ago, wasn't conclusive. So if it's on their website, it's public domain, go for it. Let me see. Leads, scraping for leads, like finding. Yeah, scraping for leads would be like finding all the business, or finding. So what you'd want to do is you want to find businesses that would be interested or applicable for your client, i.e. whatever service they're providing. So if you again, this is not a great example, but hopefully you understand. Let's say your client was actually no, that's not really a good idea. I think you understand. I can't think of a good example now, but it's more like presenting your client with a list of people that you think would be interested in their service, and then, you know, they would pay you a share for doing that. It's not a lot. I haven't done a lot of that, to be honest, but it is possible. Oh, it's like referring people. It's like referring people's stuff, isn't it? It's basically that. How would you hide your source code from users? In what respect? Do you mean like? I'm not sure what you mean. What I tend to do is, well, it'll be on my GitHub. It'll be a private repo, and I will I usually just provide people with the results. So I run it, I give people the results, or maybe they want the code, in which case, you know, that's in the deal. Or if I'm running a service, again, it's on my private repo, and the service is active. The service is, what's the word I'm looking for? Lost it. Wow, the service is used, that's not the word I want, used via an online portal like an API or some kind of really basic web app. So then all your stuff is just yours, and you just say, here's your login, here's the website, run your thing. Hi Michael, when you make a video about your Neovim setup, yeah, so I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to do that coming up soon. So I'm away for a week next week, and then I'm going to put together a few more videos, and Neovim will be one of them. I'm loving it so far, to be honest. Loving it. I think it's fantastic. But then I'm the sort of person that would really like all the keyboard shortcuts and the keyboard movements and all of that. So my take on the Neovim video is going to be like, instead of, it's going to be, this is what I've done, because my config is not too dissimilar from, you know, like the basic one. In fact, the one that I use is by a guy called Chris at Machine. He's on YouTube. I think he streams quite a lot. He made Lunavim, but I don't use that one. I use his basic IDE one. I've tweaked it ever so slightly. But yeah, I'm going to kind of like, in my video, I'm going to sort of pose the question of, this is mine, and also who do I think would be interested in doing this? Because, you know, it's become a bit of a thing, you know, like Rust is at the moment. And anyway, that's coming. If you master Scrapey, what to do, learn next? If you've mastered Scrape, anything, whatever you fancy. Build, yeah. If you're really good with Scrapey, then, you know, you should be pretty set up, and you should, I would say, start building a business around data or something like that. Realistically, Scrapey has everything that you need. Like, I know I don't use it so much because I tend to build like quite specific focus things. Hi John, how's it going, mate? Specific kind of focus things where I just don't need the overheads of Scrapey. But if it's a big project, definitely. Tried HTTPS async client. Yep. Async's awesome. I've got quite a few async videos. I haven't done one too recently, but I did one where I compared the requests, how quickly you can make requests to a server using just standard, then with HTTPX async. I think I did AIO HTTP async as well, and I compared it to like threading and stuff as well. I could do more. In fact, one of the things that I was looking at recently was there's a way of actually limiting your async requests, because you can find that it could be too quick and you're just going to get in trouble like so fast. But if you could go quicker than synchronous. So there's a package, I can't remember what it's called, but maybe I'll show that. It's just like, it's not really a full video, I suppose. And I've kind of like in between the idea of, should I release a 3-minute video or should I just condense it into a short? I don't know if any of you guys have seen any of my shorts. I think I've done 4 now. I don't know how it decides to show them to people. Is there a possible way to get JSON for a website? I'm not sure what you mean by that. How do you keep a persistent script waiting for you to copy a link and scrape pages found on your clipboard? Use a while true, and then have it wait, and just have it wait until it finds something on your clipboard, I suppose. Any tips on scaling Selenium? Not really. The main thing I don't use it too intensely. The one thing that I do use is a lot is wait for network idle, which means the pages stop doing anything. So that's a good indicator of like it's done. Other than that, I've not had the necessity to look into Selenium Grid, but that could be something that you might want to look into. Do I have any Selenium? Yeah, old ones, but they're still kind of relevant. I tend to do Playwright now more. Do a 2-hour documentary. Yes. Yep. If you come on and talk for 1 hour and 50 minutes of it, I will do one. Isn't a while statement resource heavy? Yeah, but we are it would be, but we're sat waiting for things to be in the clipboard, so I'm not really sure. I don't think this program's going to be like speedy anyway. Mohammed, no worries, man. I'm really pleased that you've you got some stuff out of my content, man. That's great, man. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. So I think about having like a stream project, something that we can work on. So I quite enjoyed streaming, and I know I've said it plenty of times before, but I do want to make more time for it this year. I feel like YouTube for me, this is going to be the year where it's like all or nothing. I've had some pretty good growth, but it is a bit. Whilst the growth is still good, it's quite stagnant now. So it's I think I'm going to try and push it a bit more this year, and that will include streaming. I did think about streaming on Twitch as well to see if I could because the thing I'm worried about is, streaming things that aren't directly related to what most of my videos are, and I'm not sure if that'll have a detrimental effect. But I can't be asked to stream on Twitch. I'll just stream here anyway. Helium 10 is earning a ton of money making from scraping Amazon. Let me have a look. Okay. Yeah, I wonder how they they come up with their statistics. I mean, I'd have a look, but not at $200 a month. But yeah, interesting. I guess it's just aggregating a load of the data that they pull out. There is also the they'll have access to the Amazon product API as well, which helps. You can easily get through products that way. Is anyone anyone working on anything at the moment that we could talk about, or anyone want to share anything? I know you can't post links, but if you want to post GitHub or something, or you can't post it, but you could say like your name or whatever, or anything in general, like working on stuff we can chat about. Not that I'm running out of ideas or anything, but you know, stagnating. It's just going to be me rambling otherwise. But that's okay. The main site that I tend to go to for like Amazon affiliates is PC Part Picker, because that has like everything. That's a really good example of aggregating the data and displaying it in a different way, which is going to get you a load of affiliate commission, because that's like, it shows you, you know, what goes with what you should do. They have different like build sets, which is pretty cool. So I always use that as an example. Are you working on something that's going to do the same as Helium 10? Cool. I might take you up on that interview. Do you know what? I'm actually like, I think I had this idea, right? And what I'd like to do is I'm not exactly sure how to do it. I don't want to do like, because originally I was thinking code reviews, but I'm not sure how interesting that would be. But what I would kind of like to do would be to get people to talk to people who are either brand new and are interested in learning, or like in the middle and are trying to build something, or some people that have built something and might want to share, and we could just, you know, talk about it. I don't know whether I'd make it a video or live or just audio or something, but I think that might be quite cool, just like to bring people on that have something that they want to show and talk about, and just talk about it with them. And also I might learn something as well, because like, you know, I've got a lot to learn about all sorts of stuff. So I might find that interesting. I'm not sure how good an interviewer I would be though. I think I would end up just talking over everyone and just like rambling on about my own crap. But yeah, no, I mean, that would be pretty cool. So, you know, if we ever get to that point. It isn't scraping related to scrape, but I've been trying to sort and organize gigabytes of files using hashing. Bloody hell. Is this your movies collection? That's cool. I like stuff like, I'm assuming you're using Python. I like stuff like that. Find like, at the very beginning I was motivated to learn Python because of things like I could do like that would make my life easier. They also provide data that isn't provided by the Amazon API. Reviews and ranks, yeah, scraping that, yeah. Doing it at large scale is very difficult. Let's do a podcast. I would do a podcast. I don't have time. When I go full-time content creator or whatever, then I'll do a podcast. Yeah, I'd love to do an interview with Arjen, but I would be so, I'd feel so out of my depth. That guy, he knows so much more than I do. I'd have to interview him. I'd end up just asking him questions about how to do stuff in Python. I'm like, oh, how do you do that? Can you explain that to me again? And everyone would just think, oh, I was an idiot. I've thought about collabs with other YouTubers as well. I don't know if I've seen it done well. We'll see. I'd love to do stuff like that. Hello from NYC. Hello. Oh yeah, you must be on -5. Hello, as in time zones. Thanks for dropping by. How do you run Selenium script in DigitalOcean? I can't remember exactly, but you can, because you can. It's something like you need to look up a virtual display. I've done it before a few years ago. I can't remember specifically, but it is something like you need to run a virtual display, which then can emulate the browser running. So it is possible. I'm sorry, Snake, I can't tell you exactly at the moment. What do you do full time? I work for an e-commerce company, looking after their systems, Shopify, all that stuff. What do you think about ChatGPT helping with code? I think that ChatGPT blew up way more than they thought it was going to, and then every coding influencer or whatever jumped on it to quickly say that everyone was doomed. Isn't it just... it's pretty impressive, right? It totally is, but isn't it just like Copilot in a way that it just works it out through what stuff people have done already? It's not taking over, not in a million years. Helping, possibly. I've tried it a few times, but it's just, I don't know. I think it might be useful. So the thing is that I thought maybe it would replace like Googling and asking questions, but I don't think it will, because when you're trying to find the answer to something on Google, you want to read like 10, loads of different opinions or responses and figure out what's the best one for you. So how does ChatGPT going to know that? I could be wrong, but... Main, hey, how's it going? If you were to make a program, how would you hide the code? We asked this already. Can't remember. I'm not sure what your question is, I'm afraid, mate. Pi virtual display, that could be it. I definitely think I had to do some configuring on the Linux server to get it to work. Bing is integrated ChatGPT. Wow. I think I saw that there's a new version of it coming out. GPT-4, perhaps. Good to download data from Star Trek. Could be. That'd be interesting. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I see what you're saying now. Yeah. I think they'll become helpful. In April, okay, yeah. I think it's always going to be helpful, and do you know what I think? Like, if you could have some kind of AI assistant that actually was useful, and you could ask it things, and it could give you something, that would be handy. But there's no way in our lifetimes, I don't think, that tech company, someone's just going to go, oh, I've got a great idea, code me an app that makes me shitloads of money, and it's going to spit it out. It's just not going to happen. Business doesn't work like that. Yeah, MozTube, I think the same. But you know what, I'm open-minded, I'll see what happens. Because, interestingly enough, if you go onto a lot of like subreddits and also Stack Overflow, it just says on there, if you post anything, you will be banned if you post anything on ChatGPT. It was only trained up to 2021, yeah. And it's like, because it's so obvious, like as soon as you've used it for a bit, it's so obvious when someone's just copy and pasted something. Because everyone was like going on about, oh yeah, you can use it to write YouTube scripts. And I'm like, well yeah, but the whole thing that makes a YouTube script for people that do that sort of thing, like interesting, is your own way of saying the words, right? It's using your own language, your own like dialect, how it comes out of you naturally. And if you take something that an AI's written, it's just not going to sound natural and people aren't going to be interested. That's my opinion anyway. But what you could do is you could say, write me a script, you could take it and then you could work on it and you could use it and you could improve it. So there is that. I'm learning AI stuff and scraping has been helpful. Yeah, collecting data sets. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's like the main thing, really. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Who knew I had so many opinions on ChatGPT? I don't think, because I've got no one, I don't have anyone in my actual life that I talk to this about, so I'm just kind of dumping it out right now. Oh, how to handle really long URL encoded requests, because when I paste in curls, it won't recognize the command. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know if I've had that happen. Do you know what I have had happen though? Is I think they've changed Insomnia, and it's now like I was telling I had to sign up or something. And I was really, because I think they updated the version and my version on my machine here died, so I went to install the new one. I was just, it doesn't feel the same. But I don't really. I suppose I could use Postman. I was looking for a terminal alternative. I came across HTTP, which I use, but it's not quite the same. The problem is because a lot of my stuff involves, going through different real APIs, where I have to save all the keys and stuff, and it's like I don't want to have to I just want it easy, accessible. ChatGPT is great for beginners in coding. You think so? As long as, I think the main thing for beginners in coding, as long as you're actually writing code and finding and breaking it and working out why it broke, then that's okay. But if you just copy and paste, that's why I didn't like the look of Copilot at the start, because you just write out things. You saw all the stupid videos where they all write center me a div and it just appeared. Well, yeah, but no, come on. That doesn't fit in. You don't just drop that into a big project. It'd be for government and military. Yeah, I think we're probably a little way away from that sort of computing power being available to the masses. I think I read somewhere that ChatGPT was costing them $1 million a month or something. Do you have any go-to methods for dealing with files and anti-scraping tools? There's a few things that you can do, depending on which ones they are, and how you're trying to do it. You can go from things as small as having the correct headers in your request, to using proxies and doing the same, to using the undetectable Chrome driver, to as far as people go as far as simulating mouse movements on a page, and stuff like that. If you're getting hit with a captcha straight away, it's not that easy, because you really just need to. Yeah, it's not so simple in those respects. There are a few ways around it, but if you just get slapped with a captcha straight away, it's not an awful lot you could do, really. You can always imperv. I don't know what that one is. Hang on, let me just check. Okay, yeah. You need to have decent proxies. Oh, it's a UK company. I didn't know that. Oh, it's just down the road from me as well. I wonder if they're hiring. A good set of proxies always helps, because then it just. Rotating iterative cycle. I'm not sure that. What's cycle for? See, these are the things I don't know all of. Oh, I see. Just goes through like that. That should have worked. I like all this stuff. I don't use the iter tools or the func tools as much as I should. I tend to just write out a slightly worse version myself. The one that I like is chain, which basically just expands. If you've got a load of lists, you can just loop through every single one as you go. Yeah, there are solving services that basically you send it and someone actually solves it and send it back to you. I've never used one. I've read about them. Yeah, Chain's the one that I like. And there's another one which is permutations. I'm just looking now. And like gives you every kind of like option available from the list. This is where I need to go on with Arjen Codes and get him to explain it all to me. Is it possible to scrape JavaScript protected field from website with requests? Depends. Hey, Crazy Fanatic Man. How's it going, man? Happy New Year. It's good to see you again. It's nice to know, like, it's my sporadic, once every few months streaming schedule. A few people keep coming back. COVID's kicking ass. Oh dear, mate. That's not good. I had it a year ago and I had 2 or 3 fairly unpleasant days. I hope you get better soon, man. Going back to your question, Igor, it depends on how the website is. If it's loading that information directly with JavaScript, you probably won't. You'll need to use something to render that. But some of them obfuscate it with JavaScript, and you could potentially do that if you have access to it. Rovshin, how you go? How's it, mate? I can't talk. Hello, mate. How's it going? I'm really struggling with my articulation tonight. It's only 11:15 as well. That's really keen. IP does count your head as yeah, I've wondered about that. I've wondered about whether that actually matters or not. I have a few questions. Let me switch to. Oh, okay, sure, man. I mean, because I was creating API. Okay, I understand. Yeah, I remember we talked about that before. I'm beginning to think about code architecture, especially when it comes to automating. Any advice comes to Python? Not specifically. Do you know what? Like, my Python knowledge is fairly deep in some respects, but fairly shallow in other ones, and I don't have an awful lot of experience when it comes to architecture. I have a book somewhere that I haven't read yet about it, and I find it really interesting, but putting it into practice is something I haven't really done yet, so don't have an awful lot to comment on that, I'm afraid. What are your thoughts on yeah, you turned up literally as you turned up, Crazy Fanatic Man. We just finished talking about ChatGPT. So the summary is yes, but no, but yeah, but no, probably. How are we getting on? I'm just going to quickly top up my tea. Hang on. Cheers, cross stuff, mate. See you later. Okay, I'm back. How many proxies is enough for a project? It depends. It doesn't depend. They generally get sold in like traffic wise though. So like how much traffic you put through them. That's the ones I have. T-Ray, hello mate. How's it going? Thanks for joining us. What are your thoughts about showcasing my project on GitHub? Will it create problems? That's a good question. No, I don't think so. When you think about the projects that are open source on GitHub that are essentially hacking, that's like they're, you know, pen testing tools, they're all on there. I don't think it's an issue. I don't think it's a problem. I have them on there. I'm not going to remove them, but as I was saying earlier, I'm going to move away from like specific site kind of scraping stuff and more on methods and practices. So, but if it's a legit project for a legit reason, keep it on there. You could say like, this is my scraping project for analyzing the data for this reason, that reason. I don't see that being an issue whatsoever. Right, what do we need to do when you get an empty list from Final? What you need to do is go back up to your request and print out the entirety of the text response, or save it to a file, and then look through that and see what's actually in there and try and find out why what you're trying to select from it doesn't exist. So either it's not there because that way of getting the data isn't going to work, or it is there and your selectors aren't working properly. Another thing you can do is go to the website that you're trying to get the data from, that specific page, and view source and see in there, because that's a bit more accurate as to what you're looking at. Ever get the sense you have too many ideas to attempt? Yeah, all the time. I have like my books here from earlier, and then I've got like loads of, I use Obsidian to take notes, well, write stuff down. It's just full of ideas for me, for videos, for projects, for like, I don't want to call it businesses. I guess maybe SaaS is the right word. I don't know. Yeah, and I start loads of them. I never finish them because I don't have time. Or I start them and I go, yeah, this sucks. Let's stop. I'm really interested in building something to monitor unified website for some items that keep constantly getting sold out. Yeah. So what I would do is we need to, there's a couple of things you can do depending on how the website is, what it is, and like I'm assuming that's a store, so you're saying sold out. You could, depending on what it is, if it's a Shopify website, it's actually quite easy because all the JSON data is available. And what you can do is you can just pull the information and just save it into your database, and then set up and like check again every X amount of minutes. And you'd have to kind of be careful and think really hard about how often you want to do that. And then just sort of like compare it and just say, right, it says it's sold out, it's still sold out, it's still sold out. And when it says it's not, you trigger a response of some kind, like an email or something like that. Fairly common, reasonably straightforward once you can get in there. Some websites also have a header which kind of just is like a version or something like it's a hash, I think. I see that less and less though. Cool. How to start a web scraping tutorial channel on YouTube? Oh, you can't. Sorry. You can't. You're not allowed. What you do is you start a channel, you realise that you're terrible at making videos, you get lucky and one catches on and you just build on it for 3 years, and you eventually realise that the amount of work you've put into it to the what you got out of it was financially not great, but the rest of it was really good. You learn a lot. Unless you get really lucky or you're really good at making videos, in which case, you know, you can get 100k subs in like 10 videos. There's a couple of ones that I've seen recently, not scraping ones, but whilst we're just rambling about YouTube for a moment, is called Boilerplate. No. What's the guy called? No Boilerplate. Started doing this 7 months ago, has more subs than me, talking about Rust, different take on it. Good videos if you're interested in Rust. Gonna do some video on reverse engineering. Maybe. I don't reverse. Possibly. It's a bit specified, and I don't. It's something that I've done a bit. Like I've done reverse engineering of APIs and stuff. It's just a little bit harder to, because they're all kind of different. It's a bit harder to show. New to coding and learning Python, so those are possible ways to pass. I'm not quite sure what you mean. If you're new, try to follow along with one of my just basic HTML scraping videos. That might help you out. Have I got any deeper in data engineering? I haven't. No, I'm afraid not. I'd love to, but again, it's just on the pile of stuff that I haven't done yet. I really thought about. I looked at a lot of data. Was it data? Because there's a couple of different data engineering jobs actually. And I thought it could be interesting. I could find it. It could be good for me. I could enjoy it. A lot of SQL usage as well, which I'd need to brush up on. But I think SQL is a great second skill to learn. I haven't done anything else yet. Or you hop on the Yorkshire tea bandwagon and hit the jackpot. Yeah. Cheers. What you do with the data. Yeah. Absolutely. Do you have any experience scraping data from websites required to log in? Yeah, but I only do it for personal or let's say you're logged into a thing and you just want to grab a certain few bits of information. I just use Selenium or Playwright in this case to do that. I tend to stay away from larger scale projects that require logging in to a site to put a load of data, unless of course it can be a grey area, because then when you sign up and log in, you subscribe to their TNCs, which kind of gives them a little bit more. But you can do it, especially if you log into something that you're paying for. You've got a bit more I'm paying for this data, so I'm accessing it how it's convenient for me, rather than just signing up. But I would use either if it's you can either use requests or HTTPX and try and find the endpoint, the URL that they post to when you log in, and you can send your details over that way through there and try and use a session to keep it alive, or you can go the easy route and click on the buttons in Playwright or Selenium, type it in and just get in that way. Do I have at this point a file where you can plug in different things? I did start doing that. I just found it wasn't particularly helpful, as helpful as you'd think. So although a lot of the stuff is the same, in fact, one of the things that I do keep the same, that I do I have a I don't know what the word is for it's not a GitHub gist, but you get the idea. It's just a piece of code. It's a custom requests client that I did a video on it, and basically that. It's just it has a few more things. It has logging built into it, and it has hooks for dealing with retries and stuff. So I tend to use that, but not really. Hello from Turkey. Hello. You learned web scraping from me? Fantastic. Glad you're here. Thank you for joining us on this, whatever day it is, evening for you. Use Selenium to get cookies and put them in requests. You absolutely can do that as well. Yep. I've done that again. I don't know who. Someone mentioned that to me on a live stream a year or so ago. I was like, that sounds like a cool idea. So I did a video on it. And then they commented on it, and it's you got this idea from me, and I was like, yeah, thanks. It was all my own work, but I got the idea from them. I've done it before for all sorts of cookies. What you can also do, which is pretty cool, is you can, when you load up a page with Playwright, you can monitor the network requests as well. So you can just, how when we look and we find the JSON data in the API. You can just find it that way as well. Why is your bicycle standing up straight? Because if I had it down, it would take up way too much space. I've only got this is a 1-bed flat, so there's not so much room in here. Plus I've got loads of crap over there. Oh, you can't see, that's why my camera's pointing this way. What do you think about scraping beat? Never used it, I'm afraid. I've not really used any of those kind of like scraper services. I'm not sure how I feel about them. I think they have a place for some people, perhaps. I'm not sure that I'm that person, though. What is the time in yours? It is 11:30 p.m. What are your thoughts on Octopus? The same. I got contacted by them, all of them really, asking me if I wanted to do work for them, which was really cool. I really appreciated it, but I did decline. It didn't really fit in with how I did things, so I didn't take it. Why pay? Write a new one. I just feel like, I think for some people, I reckon they have their place, those sorts of companies, right? And they obviously exist for a reason, but I just don't think I don't think it's quite me. I feel like that it's kind of, the scrapers that you want to write are not the same, and they're kind of like, each one will need individual kind of, care and looking after, and it's like you can't just sign up to a site like that and have it build you an API or a web app or something. You can, but it won't be completely tailored to your needs. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say. So if you don't need it completely tailored for your needs, then maybe you could. As soon as I said that, I thought, hang on a minute. There's Pocket Base, which is built in Go, which is basically just your own back end in a file. But I don't use it. I built my own. I don't know why. Could probably just use that, save some time. How can we bypass 504? Which one's 504? That's denied, isn't it? Oh, 504 is a timeout. Timeout is because it didn't, the server didn't respond. Isn't, which one is, you're blocked, go away? Which one's that? Obviously I don't ever get them. That's why I can't remember. How are we bypassing Captchas? Well, a bit of this, bit of that. It's funny, a lot of people ask me about how to get past those sorts of things. I don't know, I just often don't have that issue. I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit more picky about the sites or... So, yeah, I don't know. Would you recommend someone run a scrape file on Amazon Cloud server as opposed to your local machine? That very much depends on what you want to achieve. I don't know much about Amazon AWS. I don't know how much that costs, but you can get your own VPS Linux machine with like the Node or DigitalOcean for like $5 a month. I would only do that if... So the ones that I've got doing that is, I've got things doing that pulls data from various sites that are run like every day, and also ones that pull free AWS test good for small stuff. Okay, cool. And I've also got things that access various APIs and sites and pull data for me and do something with it. That's why I have them on there. So if you get to the point where you need it to run every day, I would I would do that. I would do that because they're not CPU intensive. Or they're not, so that's why you can run them on the smallest one. Especially, let's say you run a scraping job and it takes, on one of these, so it takes half an hour. Well, you just wait for that one to finish, and then you run the next one. So you never have to really worry. Or you could use, I've got this. One of these. It's not plugged in at the moment. I don't use it really. I've got this. I could do all my stuff on this, but I still just stick with my DigitalOcean box and just do it that way. You can't really buy these at the moment. I think it's too difficult. I think they're quite expensive now. I was thinking about this because, given like how difficult these are to get, I think, and how like prices are going up, you can buy like older small micro PCs for the ones that from a former office in my country anyway on eBay for about £100, which technically for me would be about 2.5 times the cost of that. But they're proper, like you can get them up to like 16 gig of RAM. You can get them with like 6th or 7th gen Intel processors for quite cheap. And they don't cost too much more to keep going, so you get more of a server. There you go, depends what you want. Do I ever use Selenium? Not anymore. Well, yes, I use automated browser. I prefer Playwright these days. Much the same sort of thing. But I do use it, yeah. Missed a few. Autopass, it seems very site specific. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was kind of about. I don't know, that's how I'm kind of not sure how one thing fits. And obviously they have, like, you go on your site and you click on it, everything, and you're like, oh yeah, I want this, I want that, I want this. I don't know, not for me. It still exists though, so people are obviously using it. GraphQL, yeah, no, do you know what, I've not had a lot of dealing with GraphQL at all. Hey Jan, sorry I missed you, man. How's it going, mate? Another name I recognise. Welcome back. Yeah, no, I keep meaning to look into GraphQL more because Shopify have been pushing it a lot. Well, I don't use it there either, to be honest. I don't know how I feel about it. But no, I don't have any videos on it. There will be some in the future. Your first project involves one of them. It's all about making specific requests and getting the data all back in one go. Is it called mutations? Honestly, I started working on it using the Shopify API, and I was like, I just thought, why don't we just choose REST? How do you store your data? Do you put it in a spreadsheet? I normally use a database now. For small projects, I use SQLite database because it integrates with Python, super easy. Bigger ones, I just use Postgres. And really big ones, I would use a managed Postgres database, which costs, but I am only doing that in a commercial environment anyway. So, yeah, I remember GraphQL was fresh. Yeah, and everyone, yeah, I know. You can still find the posts where everyone's going to say it's going to replace it, but I don't know. REST has its issues, and I've come across plenty of REST APIs that have been badly designed, in my opinion. Not that I'm amazing at it, but in my opinion, and it's just a pain in the ass. Mac or PC? I use, this is my Mac. This is a M1 MacBook Air, which I have because it's super portable and the battery's good. And my main PC is, I use Linux full time. Well, I'm on Linux now. I'm streaming from Linux. I record on Linux. I edit on Mac because the program I use to edit on, which is DaVinci Resolve, won't use the codecs that I want for MP4 when I'm editing, which is a real pain in the arse. Same height was generated with Wasm. You see, I've been looking at Wasm WebAssembly, and I kind of get it, I understand, but it doesn't. JavaScript's just such a big beast, it's just never going to get replaced. Ever. In my opinion. But I do like the kind of alternative technologies like that. I find them really interesting. So like WASM would be something that I'd want to look into. But do you know what? I'm just not that interested in front end. Like all the front ends I've ever made have just been like template HTMLs because I just don't. I'm not interested. I'm not making beautiful websites. I'm making functional APIs usually that have a couple of pages for people to log in and get stuff out they want. I read your about page. Do you write code to help people? Do you run automate? I don't run an automation agency. And I probably wrote that ages ago. What I mean is, I don't know what I mean. You call me out on my own stuff now. That's not fair. What did I write? I might have wrote this when I first started my channel. Oh yeah, automating daily tasks. So like, what I mean is that one of the things that got me into Python was the job I was doing at the time, the computer system. As soon as I learned that I could control a browser with Python, I automated a load of it just by, like logging into my account, clicking on things and pulling bits of data out and then ticking boxes. I was like, cool, I can do that super quick now. Yeah. Hang on, I'm just a little bit behind on the questions. Oh, that's handy, talking about GraphQL. Is it worth learning? I don't know, to be honest. It's not that high up my list of things to learn, GraphQL. Hey everyone, hello all the new people that are saying hello, appreciate it. I like your name, I can't pronounce it. Christijan Silvesky, that's a cool name. Are Cloudflare protected websites scrapable? Yeah. Yes. Kinda. Yes. Sort of. Tommy, hello. I do like WASM. Yeah, it's something I want to look into more. For some reason, I don't like JavaScript. Amen. Seems like we started the same, yeah. Yeah. That's why it was Python, because as soon as and it was like you need to. And everyone says when people talk about learning programming, it's like, oh, you need to do projects, and that's just like, it's true, but it's such a cop out to the like beginners, because they're like, how do I build a project when I don't know about how to build projects? But it's true. But like, if you're learning to drive a car, the only way you can learn to drive a car is to drive one. But you don't just go and get in one and start trying, because you're going to have a bad time. So, I don't know where I was going with that analogy. It's true though. But for me, having like the motivation and like the idea of like, if I can learn how to do this, and as long as I don't crash my car, I can, get going. I guess I lost my train of thought there. So sorry, you'll have to deal with that half-assed analogy take. Your name is cool as well. Do you know what? I totally full named my YouTube channel. I don't know why I did. I remember thinking about, what should I call this damn channel? So I was just like, fuck, I'll full name it. I got lucky because I was presenting to have projects to work on. I think you need projects to work on, and you also, do you know what? The most important, the best thing would be to have a mentor. And I know that that's just not feasible for so many people. I don't have a mentor. I'd love to have a mentor. I'm learning Go, and if I could get someone to sit down with me for a couple of hours a week and just teach me Go, I would be so happy, but it's just not feasible realistically. Been doing most Go for a year, learn a lot. Thanks. Yeah, good. Cool. Oh, that's really cool. How to omit CDN cache during scrape? I'm not entirely sure. The CDN cache. I'm not sure, Jan. I don't know entirely what that you mean by that. Making an app that improves your chances of winning blackjack by card counting. Okay. I don't know what that I'm gonna look that up. Sounds interesting. See, projects like that, I think stuff like that's pretty cool because it's really object detection. Okay, that's cool. I don't know anything about that, but yeah, stuff like that I find really interesting. It's fascinating what it can do. It's the only idea of like hundreds I'm confident bringing to Kickstart when you have prototypes ain't ready. That's really cool, man. That's cool. I like it. Well, if it ever gets going, a lot of ifs in this statement. If it gets going, and if I carry out plans that I want to about finding people to talk about cool projects that they've written revolving kind of this stuff, then we can talk about it if you want to. You don't have to if you want. I learned by automating tasks at my job. Got promoted a lot. That's cool. You can't scrape Dynamics websites with Scrapey. Use Scrapey Playwright. Send the request there. I've got a couple of videos on it on my channel which should help you out. It's going to get hunted by casino. Yeah. You're going to get banned, insta-banned from all of Vegas. Of course we do. Yeah. I want to do, I don't think you were here when I was talking earlier. I was talking to the other John about it. I was like, I'd love to talk to people of all sorts of levels and abilities that have made things that might be interesting. Why are you posting like blank spaces? Nothingness, Tommy. I don't understand. I can't see that, so I don't know what you're spamming. That would be interesting. We'll get there one day. Using Windows, it won't. You really? You can't use Scrapey Playwright on Windows? Really? Post request has to get the body automatically. So if you need to make a post request, you just need to find one that's been made and copy the body and then send it back with a little bit of changed information. Bypassing there isn't a really straightforward and easy way. They're all a bit different. It depends what captcha it is. It depends how you ended up getting to the captcha, because it's usually a browser check that ends you up there or suspicious behavior. So instead of trying to break the captcha, it's trying to not get to that point. So like using like good proxies, if you're using like Selenium, using the stealth Chrome driver so you don't send those tails, going to the main website first and then navigating your way through to the right pages is an option. People go really in depth. I said this earlier, as far as like making proper like mouse movements and stuff. I don't know. It's a very case by case basis. It's not something. If I could just say to every like bypass captcha question, if I could just say, oh yeah, just do this, then the captchas would be useless. So it's not that easy. The problem of body request change, I need to get it automatically with the same cookie. So you can store if you use a session with requests or HTTPX, it'll store the cookies for you. So every request you make subsequently will have that cookie. I wrote a program to scrape user social media. Got some error. Oh dear. Social media is a funny one. Do you have any videos about scraping from WebSockets? No, actually I don't. You're not the first person to ask me that either. Joe Bloma. That's another cool name. Joy, something that's another thing that's on my list of things to look into, but I don't have a lot of experience with WebSockets, I'm afraid. Can I work for you? I'm afraid not. I don't have any jobs, nor at the moment any need for anyone. I'm afraid. Sorry. I've become intrigued about hardware. Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting take on it. Yeah. That'd be quite cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, just like breeze your way through everyone. With the current, yeah. My interest in hardware didn't go particularly far. That's a pretty cool. That's an interesting idea. That'd be pretty fun. You just instantly read the question and then just give you the answer. You can just write down what it says. Yeah, you'd be in and out in no time. Full marks. I tried playing with WhatsApp. No, I've not done anything with WhatsApp. The only thing I use WhatsApp for is muting all of the groups that my friends add me to that they think are interesting and funny. Actually, my mate texts me that he's going to the gym on WhatsApp. That's about it. What time is it? How long have we been going for? Hour 20, that's pretty good. Are you sure it doesn't support it? Not that I'm questioning. I don't mean to question it in that way, but I find that interesting. Oh, you're absolutely right. You need to run it with WSL. To be honest, I gave up. I haven't done any coding on Windows for a really long time, and when I did use Windows, I was using WSL, so that would be why, which is Windows Subsystem for Linux. There isn't a way around it, unless of course you can use, hang on, you could try scraping Selenium, that might work on Windows, or you might be able to try Splash. I've got a video on Splash where you can use like the Docker, it's all Docker, but you can use the Windows GUI for Docker, and it's super easy to set up. That could be an option for you, because the Playwright one doesn't work. Google Glass. Oh yeah, whatever happened to Google Glass? Fun things like that always fascinate me, because like it's like, if this makes sense, like old tech brought into the modern age. Like, no one actually wants that, but you know, it's kind of like, if you looked at movies that were trying to predict what things were going to be like in the year 2000, they probably had like glasses where you could see stuff, and no one wants flying cars. That's not going to work. They're just called planes. And what's the other one that was interesting? Oh, yeah. So like another one is I don't know. I used to ride a motorbike. I don't have it anymore, but there was a whole thing where people were trying to sell like heads-up displays in your helmet, and it's like they got it and no one wants it. Just people don't want that, so it's really odd. Funny. ChatGPT is your mentor. Yeah. Oh yeah, especially ChatGPT is even better. Yeah, the one that Stadia. Yeah, I saw. Stadia was an interesting one. I guess no one just wants to. No one can dethrone Steam. Scraping through here, archives, reverse the API, made your own. I say, that sounds like a cool project. Yeah. That's the sort of project that's really cool. Where like Adiraj, where you said like the generated image. That's a cool project. That's the sort of thing that I like. It's common in tech. Remember the Newton back in the late 90s? No. Oh wow. No, I don't remember that. I was definitely alive then. Oh yeah, no, I see. There was a whole thing where everyone like a PDA. That's it. Yeah. Everyone had like PDAs and stuff. My dad had one. It was like more hassle than it was worth. Two people don't have the connection needed to use the Stadia. Yeah, that's a shame. Google Glass ended due to privacy issues. Okay, that's interesting. Do you schedule most of your scripts in Windows Task Scheduler, or is there better? So, I don't schedule scripts on my main machine because I turn that off. What I do is, as I showed you, I've got a Raspberry Pi which isn't plugged in, but I actually use a DigitalOcean Droplet, or there's a Linode as well, which is like a VPS, which is a Linux machine in the cloud. It costs me $5 a month to run, and I run loads of scripts on there on a schedule using cron job. That's my preferred method because it's all managed, it's always up, I don't have to worry about anything, and I can afford the $5 a month. I try to keep, that's kind of like, I try to keep that stuff off of my main machine because it's just never going to schedule because it's not always on. PowerShell script? No, I don't really. I've never really used PowerShell. Do you know what? Things like that. I don't use not PowerShell, but with like Bash and stuff. If I have a specific use for it, I just look up how to do it, and I just sort of save it and just run it. I've not really learnt it. The only other thing that I was thinking about learning was a little bit of Lua scripting, just because I think it looked quite interesting. And obviously I've had more exposure to it recently because all my Neovim config is in Lua. Ray, hello mate, how's it going? Nice, thanks for dropping by. Video's been very useful, cool. I'll give a video in the future about how to create a program on a Linux server and scrape data to a database. Yeah, so I've got that mostly covered in like different kind of videos, but I could definitely think about putting all that together and just say, hey, this is what we're going to do. That might be quite a fun project, so that's a cool idea. I'll look into that, thanks. Michael, thank you very much, man, I appreciate it. Bash scripting is superior, yeah. See you later, man. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, Michael, for dropping by. In case you would like to review reverse engineered API. Okay, cool. I'll have a look at that in a second. Yeah. I always thought I thought like Bash scripting was something that I'd be interested to learn, but I guess I never really found a total use for it. So you can do loads of stuff with it. I tried scraping the Spotify API. No, I never have actually. No, I don't actually use Spotify. Actually, I say that while I'm playing some stuff through it now, but for my general uses, I don't. I've never looked at their API actually. Hey Dante, how's it going? Different capture implementations? It could be. I haven't. I don't think I've noticed anything too different. I've never. I don't think I found it where it says if you're active on a site for X amount of minutes. Isn't it usually based on suspicious behaviour? It's interesting. I need to look into it. Have I ever been interested in hacking? Yeah, of course. Like every young boy who grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s. There was a time not that long ago where I was really interested in doing like the what are they called? The challenges. Capture the flags. I watched a shitload of John Hammond videos and Live Overflow, and I was like, this sounds really cool. But when it came down to it, I was really just focusing on learning programming at the time, so I kind of dropped it. But it's something that I think I'd find really interesting because I really like kind of like solving problems, which is essentially what it is. Any ideas on when pagination suddenly starts from the beginning again without actually going to the end? I don't know if I've had that happen. One thing that is quite common is that if the pages are numbered and you go beyond the number, it just takes you back to the beginning. I've not had it quit on me halfway through. I would, when you're running through it, I would try, depending on how many pages there are, save the HTML, save them to a file and just look through the files and see what happened. Or look at the request and the response headers and see if there's anything in there. The whole space is so foreign to me, yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's funny. I always just assumed, and I could be wrong, that most hacking nowadays is all just social engineering, just figuring out a way to get people to give you their password. This is the GraphQL site. Ah, yeah, it could be it. Yeah, probably. Oh, right, cool. It's getting towards midnight for me, so I'm going to head off and get on with the rest of my see a Canadian Cup. Yeah, it is. My parents went to Canada and they brought me back a mug. Nice. It's my favourite mug. I like the shape. It sounds really weird, but I guess that is what it is. But yeah, I'm going to head off now. This was fun. I enjoyed this one. That was an hour and a half of good chat. Good to see some familiar faces, names again. And thank you all for dropping by. As I say every time, I'd love to do this more often, and I really want to. So hopefully it will become more of a regular thing. But yeah, thanks to everyone to dropping by. Oh, okay, one more. How do you save data to a database under SQLite? Very simple. You just look up Postgres, look up how to use it with whatever Python ORM you're interested in, and it will super easy. Postgres is the natural step up, and it's a great database. Thank you everyone for joining. I will see you again soon. I've got a new video coming out. What day is it today? Probably Friday. It's going to be the best video in the world ever, so make sure you watch it over and over again. Make all your family watch it, etc. Cheers. Thanks very much, guys. See you later.